For my space golf game, Celestial Golf, I have been focused a lot on the orbital mechanics and the deep space stuff. But I think it's also really important for the game to capture that feeling of landing on a planet and being able to bounce around the mountains and being in the atmosphere and just feeling like you've arrived at a place as opposed to just going from one circle in space to another. So I've spent a lot of time lately working on the detailed mechanics of how the ball interacts with the terrain. So using the Godot engine, it's pretty easy to get the ball as a rigid body to bounce around on the static body that is the planet terrain. That's really no problem. The Godot will automatically handle the friction, the collision detection, and all of that stuff. But the problem arises when you want to put it into this universe of planets all orbiting around a star and rotating around their central axis. The Godot physics engine doesn't really like it when you have a ball on a planet that is spinning around the surface going at multiple kilometers per second, and that planet is hurtling through space orbiting around a star. It makes the physics very unsettled. So to begin with, I just made a totally separate prototype, just started a brand new project and just created the landscape of the planet, just so I could test having the ball bouncing around the surface. And that works out pretty well, as you can see here. But we do need the planets to be rotating in space. So how do we reconcile those two things? Well, here is that basic terrain prototype. If we just start spinning the planet at its normal rotation rate, you can see that the physics system doesn't really like having the land be moving so quickly. The ball bounces pretty erratically and it never comes to a stop, as you would kind of expect when the ball is moving at a very fast speed, but relative to the land, it's moving at a speed of 0. It should come to a complete stop, right? So what we have to do is basically trick the physics system into thinking that the planet is stationary. What we end up doing is moving the whole game engine into the rotating reference frame. So when the ball is close to the planet's surface, the entire game engine switches into the planet's reference frame. So the planet is no longer spinning. The center of the planet is at the origin of the universe. The planet body does not rotate in the game engine. It is essentially a static body that doesn't move, which is good for the physics system. The entire rest of the universe moves and rotates around the planet. All of the stars are spinning around at the rate of the planet's rotation, and all of the other bodies in the solar system, including the sun, are orbiting around the planet. Suck it, Galileo. So putting aside the maths of calculating the trajectories of all of those other bodies, there is one problem with having the reference frame of the game be a rotating one, and that is that the ball actually needs to move in a slightly different way due to the centrifugal and coriolis forces. These two forces are not real forces that act on the ball. You can think of them as ways to describe the motion of a body that is moving through space from the perspective of a rotating reference frame such as the planet. So for a demonstration, here is a shot of, with gravity turned off, just to simplify things, we're going to hit the ball from the Earth and it should move in a straight line because there's no gravity, right? So here is what it looks like when the camera is fixed relative to the stars. So the planet is rotating, we hit the ball, and as you would expect, it moves in a straight line because there's no gravity. So here is the exact same scenario, but with the camera locked to the planet. So from this reference frame, the planet is not moving, the stars are. And to be physically correct, the ball should actually not move in a straight line. It needs to curve away from the Earth if it's moving eastwards, and it needs to curve towards the Earth if it's moving westwards. That is the combination of the centrifugal force, which pulls the ball away upwards from the planet, and the coriolis force, which pulls the ball 90 degrees away from its velocity. Here you can actually see the ball bending back on itself as the coriolis force pulls it westward while it's going up and eastward while it's going down. Again, this isn't a real force, and you can see here from the fixed camera, it's just an illusion, as the ball actually has a standard elliptical trajectory while the surface of the planet rotates underneath it. So because we are tricking Godot into thinking that the Earth is not moving, we need to actually apply these two forces to the ball at all times. We calculate them and we apply them just as we apply gravity. And then we get a realistic motion of the ball, and we can seamlessly transition into the inertial reference frame, or the fixed stars reference frame, as the ball moves further away from the planet. So that's just a little bit of what goes into having the ball interaction with the terrain in Celestial Golf. It's not the focus of the game. Really, the game is about exploring space and orbital mechanics, but I think it's a really important piece. It's the start of the game, and it's what gets you into that world. And it's sort of your reward for managing to get to a body far away, is feeling like you arrived in a place, and it's a real place with mountains and atmosphere, and you can kind of go exploring. So I'm really looking forward to sharing more about the progress of this game. If you want to follow along, as always, you can wishlist the game on Steam. There's a link in the description, and you can subscribe to this channel for more devlogs. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye for now.